I was just trying to buy a dress on a rare Saturday. I gave myself hair done and shoulders back and minding my own business, when a woman with a glassy smile and a ring big enough to blind a pilot walked over, laughed at my natural coils, and slipped her fingers into my hair like it was a fabric swatch. 30 seconds later, her billionaire fiancé walked in, saw me, and the whole boutique realized I wasn't just some girl browsing silk. I was the one person who could blow up his $2.8 billion deal. My name is Jordan Avery. I'm 33. Mergers and acquisitions, the kind of lawyer who spends nights arguing over commas because commas move money. Spelman made me Northwestern. Law toughened me, and a decade of rooms I wasn't invited into taught me how to stand still while the air gets thin, so when the blonde lifted her phone like a badge and said, "I should record how aggressive you're being," I didn't give her a scene, I gave her a boundary. "Do not touch my hair," I said. Steady, not loud, not shaking. Just the voice I use when a deadline is trying to lie to me. She did that smile tilt that says I'm not rude, I'm refined, then hit me with the classic. My fiancé is very particular about presentation. He'd be mortified by this, and she gestured to my twist out like it was a problem to solve. "Do you know who he is?" she added, chin up. "Grant Calloway, Calloway Dynamics, billionaire." And I swear my heart did a double take because Grant was the man who had been telling me he was divorced and ready and present for 6 months. The man who had texted "good morning" and remembered my coffee order, and then 2 weeks ago disappeared like a magician who hates curtain calls. The door chimed, the jazz felt like it slid under a rug, and there he was in a slate suit that fit like a secret already scolding someone about a brunch reservation. And when he looked up and saw me, the color drained clean out of his face. "Jordan," he said, small and cracked, and the fiancée snapped her head between us. "You know her like it was a crime, so I saved everyone the monologue. We were involved for 6 months, until he went silent. 2 weeks ago," I said, and she lunged. Perfume rings, nails, a hurricane in heels, and I caught her wrist on instinct. "No," I told her, calm as a courtroom. "We are not doing that." Phones came up like satellites. Security remembered. They existed, and Grant tried to split the difference. "Madison not here," but she shrugged him off and aimed at my throat. "He would never want someone like you." And then the sentence that slid the whole room into a new orbit dropped from his mouth like a gavel. "Stop." "Madison. She's the deal," he said, eyes on me, nowhere to hide. "Jordan is lead counsel on Calloway's acquisition of Redmore Freight. Without her signature, this dies." And you could feel the boutique inhale that little gasp a place makes when money walks in wearing a different outfit than expected. I didn't raise my voice. "Power doesn't need volume. So you lied to me and you lied to her by omission," I said. "And now you want me to pull clean lines between business and personal when you braided them together for months. You know what I mean." And then my phone buzzed like it heard its cue. Evelyn Joe, my senior partner, co-counsel. "The kind of woman who can turn a whole day with one sentence," I answered, without taking my eyes off him. "Hey." "Evelyn, I'm at Maison Verdant. Yes, I can talk. I've uncovered personal conduct that creates reputational and fiduciary risk. No, not rumor. Firsthand." The room watched me like a tennis match. "We need to restructure terms," I said. And when she told me to propose, I laid it down in clean, unfancy English. "Reduce Calloway's personal payout by 45%. Add a morals and disclosure clause that forfeits another 25% of his earnout. If the engagement ends within 9 months of closing, mandatory culture and bias training for the executive team by a certified third party, a supplier diversity fund seeded at $5 million to bring in small, black-owned logistics vendors, and full written disclosure of my involvement and the timeline to the board and Redmore's independent committee. Silence can be loud." "When it means business," Evelyn said. "Put it in writing now," and the manager slid me a charger like I was in a mobile war room. I redlined the template on my phone, pushed it through our secure signer, and turned back to Grant. Here's the choice sign, the amended terms, or I walk and recommend a pivot to Northlake Capital. They've been circling you. Have 60 seconds. Not a bluff. Northlake had been sending white papers with their phone numbers hidden in the footnotes. For weeks, Jordan, please, his voice frayed. The jobs, the drivers, the families, don't burn the house to prove a point. And I could have laughed if it didn't hurt. The house is already on fire, I said. I'm deciding which rooms we save. He looked down at the phone. The countdown ticked like a heartbeat. You can't ignore. And he signed, finger on glass, initials. Signature done, the manager swallowed. Madison made a sound that lived somewhere between a sob and a growl. She tried to surge again, and security stepped in with the soft hands. They teach you for expensive places, I'm fine. I told them, eyes still on her, and I'm leaving. I took 2 steps, turned back once because closure likes a witness. You will disclose everything today, I said to him. Not because the clause forces you, but because people deserve to know what they're tying their future to. And if you ever look at me like you looked at me when you walked in like I was a ghost, remember? Ghosts show up when the living leave things unfinished. Yeah, that happened. 3 days later, I walked into the Callaway boardroom, glass on 3 sides, and Lake Michigan cutting the horizon like a blue blade. I wore a dress from that same boutique, paid full price because I wanted the receipt, and the principal, my hair up in a braided crown that said both formal and mine. The independent committee looked at me like I stepped out of the footnotes of their conscience. Grant avoided my eyes and signed the revised terms, steady through page 3. Then a tremor by page 6. People like to ask if I felt powerful watching him lose millions in real time. The truth is complicated. I felt relief because the deal would protect jobs. I felt angry because lying costs more than money. I felt sad because a person I once let into my kitchen table had chosen silence over the kind of truth that could have made us both better. And I felt steady, which is what mattered most, because steadiness is how you keep your own name when a storm tries to rename you. The boutique video hit the internet like it paid rent there. It showed the touch, the boundary, the lunge, the later slap after I had left, and it showed security finally doing what they should have done sooner. The state's attorney charged Madison with misdemeanor battery, the brands that loved her. Glossy captions quietly backed away. Grant called off the engagement that afternoon, not because he had an epiphany under a soft light, but because legal fees and headlines are allergic to denial. He sent me a letter, handwritten 2 pages of apology, that drifted between sincere and strategic, asked to meet. I didn't. Sometimes silence is the only sentence that lands. The boutique owner called to comp the dress. I said no, I paid. Then I went to a private event there anyway, to look the staff in the eye. The associate who had frozen that day hugged me and whispered she wished she had spoken sooner. I told her she didn't owe me a time machine, just the next time. You know what I mean? And we both knew there would be a next time for someone. People asked if I should have recused myself from the file. People asked if I should have torched the deal instead of re-engineering it. People asked if a lawyer should have that much say over someone's personal money. Here's my answer. I didn't use the fire to burn a life down. I used it to harden steel, where the structure was soft. The payout reduction and the clause and the supplier fund weren't revenge. They were reinforcement nails in the baseboards, so the house wouldn't rattle every time a storm rolled in. Could I have taken it further? Sure. Would it have punished the people who deserved it most? Not always. That's the thing about power. If you only use it like a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail. A week after closing, I sat in my favorite salon in Bronzeville, the kind where the stylist knows your hair like family. She clipped my ends and laughed with me about small things that felt big because they were ours. A little girl peeked over and asked if my hair was a crown. Yes, I said, today it is. She told me she wanted one when she got older, and I told her she already had it. She just had to decide how to wear it on my way out. Northlake texted a winky face like we were in on a joke together. I blocked the number. Not every open door is an opportunity, some are just drafts. If you were standing next to me in that boutique, when I almost knocked, a display stepping back, and my body did that tiny wobble we do when danger taps our shoulder, you would have felt what I felt. The urge to shrink and the decision not to, so here's where I'll leave you. Would you have walked away, lit the whole thing up, or done what I did, and tightened the screws where it hurt, but still kept the building standing? Do you think natural hair still gets coded as unprofessional because people were taught not to see it, or because they were taught to fear mirrors that don't reflect them? Have you ever been treated like you didn't belong until your title or your signature made the room listen? Drop your take, tell me what was right, what was wrong, what you would have changed. Hit like if you believe respect is a decision, not a dress code. And tell me where you're watching from, because I'll be reading and I'm ready for the conversation.